BookTube, Merry Christmas, and welcome to another weekly reading vlog. These are the books that I've been working on this week, although most of these I've barely made any progress on. It's been another disappointing reading week, but I'll talk about these in just a second. First of all, I have a book haul to report, a book haul of one. On this channel, I sometimes use book hauls to talk about just one book. But I was on Book Street here in Ho Chi Minh City yesterday, just perusing the used bookstores, and I saw this. It's called Tyrant, a novel by Valerio Manfredi. And it's a historical novel about a tyrant of Syracuse. Now, how much longer I'm going to be staying in my current location is a little bit up in the air right now, so I'm trying not to load up on too many books, and I already have a lot of unread books on the bookshelves, but you know how it goes. You see something that you think you really want to read, and because it's a used bookstore and it might not be there next week, you snatch it up, especially if you live abroad. So I've read some of the historical fiction. Sorry, this is an Italian author. His works have been translated into English, and he writes historical fiction about the Greek world. I read his Alexander the Great trilogy, his historical fiction trilogy on his Alexander the Great, and found that the prose was a little bit clunky. I don't know if that was a translation, but felt like I learned a lot of interesting historical details from it. So I'm hoping this will be the same. It's an area of Greek history that I don't know much about. So the in Sicily and Syracuse, the fighting between the Greeks and Carthage. It looks like as the title implies, it's about a tyrant who overthrows the democratic government there. So getting into the politics of the Greek city-state, something I've on this channel talked about before, something I would wish I had read up on more, but would like to read up more in the future. So adding this to my bookshelf, and we'll hope to get around to it someday. Of course, I'm gonna have to make better progress on the books I'm currently reading in order to get around to more books. Books I'm currently reading, I've not made great progress this week. Partly because it's the end of the year and I've got all this busy end of the year stuff going on. You know how it is. And partly because I've been distracted by reading comic books. So I spent a lot of my leisure reading time this week reading these comic books. I'll talk more about the comic books in a moment. But from the Three Kingdoms, this week I read from page 612. Page 612 to 678, so about 50 pages. From The Mirror and the Light, I read from page 416 to 440, so not quite 30 pages on this. I'll try and do better in the future. And the Bible, I just got a couple pages read from the Book of Numbers. So again, something I'm going to try and do better on in the future. The past couple of weeks, I've really let this fall from my rotation. The plan is to just read a couple chapters every night. But what I have been reading is a lot of comic books. So I finished off Watchmen this week. And as I said in my review, Watchmen it's a bit of a read. I mean, it's a comic book, but it does take a long time to get through all this. There's a lot of panels. There's a lot of written parts intermixed in with that. And I gave that my review. I forget when. Thursday this week or Friday. I gave my review on it on Friday, and I rambled on and on as I usually do. But I got most of what I wanted to say out of my system. And if anyone else finds it interesting, then we'll just consider that a bonus. But I entertained myself talking about it. So now that Watchmen has been read, I have on my shelves two other books from my school library. You can see here these are library books, which are the sequels to Watchmen, Doomsday Clock Part 1 and Doomsday Clock Part 2. Now, I was initially thinking that I would review these separately and then maybe do an overall review of it. That's usually the format I follow on this channel when I'm doing books that are in volumes. But I got to the end of Doomsday Clock Part 1, and I thought there is no point in me turning on the camera and trying to review this. It's half a story. It feels like half a story. It's incomplete. It's just going to be me saying, well, I don't know about this, but we'll see where they go with it in Part 2. So I decided to hold off my review until I read Part 2. And I've been making good progress on Part 2. I don't know about this. I have a feeling it's going to be a largely negative review when I finish it. We'll see how they stick the ending. But it's got me turning the pages at least. I'm intrigued to see where things are going next, even as I am unimpressed with the delivery of what I've been getting so far. I am close to the end. As with Watchmen, there aren't cumulative page numbers on this. So it's just, I'm in the middle of one of the issues here. Do they even number the issues? I'll see if I can find some way of referring to where I am in the book in the description down below. But getting near the end, and so once I finish this off, I'll do a review. I expect it will be sometime within the next few days of Doomsday Clock Parts 1 and 2. All right, so that's my week reading for this week. Merry Christmas, and I will see you in 1 week's time.